Hi, my name is Rosa Serra. I'm now an associate professor in cell biology at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. I graduated from Parkway South High School in 1982, and after graduation I took a year off, or not a whole year, I took a semester off and worked at a canoe rental in Steelville, Missouri in the Ozarks. And after about 6 months of that, I decided it was time to go to college. So I spent one semester at the University of Missouri, and then I decided I wanted to go to a smaller school. So I went to St. Louis University here in St. Louis, and I graduated from there in 1986 with a bachelor's of science in biology. And while I was there, I became very interested in research. While most of the other students were in pre-med, I decided that I was more interested in figuring out how things work. So I decided to go to graduate school, and I applied to several schools, and I got into a new interdepartmental program in cell and molecular biology at the Pennsylvania State University that was associated with the medical school in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And so in 1986, I went there and started my graduate career. I was there until 1992. When I got my degree, and while I was there, I studied primarily cancer biology and carcinogenesis, how cells become tumorigenic, and that sort of thing. From there, I decided to go to Vanderbilt University, where they have a really nice cancer center, to continue to study cancer biology. But while I was there, I was introduced to the study of developmental biology, which is the study of how embryos develop and how an entire person can be formed from a single cell. And so I was at Vanderbilt until 1999, where I completed my postdoctoral fellowship, and I also had my first faculty position and developed my own independent research program studying how different organ systems in the body develop, with the idea of if we could understand how these organ systems develop, we could reapply those kinds of processes to either degenerative or neoplastic tissues in the adult. So that's kind of the overall goal. In 1999, I left Vanderbilt University, and I took a tenure-track position at the University of Cincinnati and I stayed there for 3 years. And then I got a position as an associate professor at the University of Alabama in Birmingham at the medical school in the Department of Cell Biology. So now my main functions are, in addition to teaching medical students and graduate students basic cell biology and histology and developmental biology, I also run a research lab where we're interested in how a specific protein called TGF-beta regulates certain developmental processes. There are 11 people that work in my lab. There are 5 graduate students. Those are people that are working on their PhDs. I have 1 undergraduate student that works in the lab, 2 postdoctoral fellows. A postdoctoral fellowship is like an internship, so they're preparing to develop their own research programs so that they can either run their own labs or go into industry positions. And then I have 3 technicians that are at different levels. So these are people that are highly skilled and understand the techniques that we use. So it's very interesting, and I like it a lot. So I remember when I was at Parkway, I took chemistry, and I also took advanced placement chemistry, and I took biology, but I did not take the advanced placement biology, which I regret at this point. But at the time, I was more interested in going into either physics or chemistry. It wasn't. But I remember during the biology class that I did have, we had a little movie about genetic engineering, and this was very early. It was in the very early 80s when the idea of splicing genes and making plasmids and doing molecular biology was just starting out, and I remember that movie and thinking it was very interesting. And so the whole time that I was going through college, I kept on thinking of this idea of genetic engineering in the back of my mind. And of course, as I went through college and I realized how much more complicated it really was than just genetic engineering, I got even more interested in it. But I went in thinking about genetics and molecular biology and engineering because I remembered that was the sections of the biology class that I found were very interesting. And it also combined my interest in chemistry with an interest that I had in biology. And it puts those two fields together. Enjoy your science classes. It's okay if you're not really good at math. I was never that great at math. I could get by on math, but you know, there are calculators and computer programs and things like that. You can still have a good career in molecular biology or in the area of biology if you're not so great at math. And that's what I hear from everybody when they say, "Oh, I like science, but I'm not very good at math." You can still do science if you're not very strong at math.